No, who are
No.
we?
Where's Barbara? I'm looking for my old buddy.
Oh, there's two Barbaras right here. Right here.
Woo! Now, are you related? Are you related?
Here I am.
Oh, okay. Ellen suggested maybe we should have had a courier.
Yes.
Pretty good. Still
Oh, they're nice.
got a lot of work.
But you came down.
Lots of work out now. And
Right.
a lot of
Yeah,
people
okay.
here.
You came and then you had to drive back. Okay. Yeah. So that was me. I had to hear
In the uniform. Yeah.
Good to see you, Sharon.
I'm sorry.
She's doing well. I mean, she came out this summer. We went to Italy and around Italy.
Yeah, because we're going to need it. We can get the folks over the hedge. That's the problem. It's hard to get in there.
Robbie Wade.
A little ramp over the hedge because on the other side of the hedge, it's not a big drop, you know, where the original old lane used to be.
Yes, that's right.
Gary, I'll go with you.
Yeah.
So we have to be nice to our cameraman.
No, we had two cars. Jerry.
Huh?
We had two cars. Only the Massachusetts group.
Yeah.
Hope. They went into
They're on the bus
back
now.
here and get their car.
Yeah.
They should have taken the car with
We stayed in, oh, yes, I can't remember get these names. I think it's Kennetown. Yep. Wonderful. He was originally born on a dairy farm and then.
She's
Excuse
laughing.
me. Attention.
Oh, okay. You need a whistle.
Hello.
You need a whistle.
Just a few words on what we have here. This is the townland of Listanich. Listanich is sometimes pronounced. What we have back here is the O'Rourke, the old O'Rourke homestead. Now, Kathy is well aware that in the old family notes in Montana, there's the story about Rose Callan O'Rourke, who was Margaret's sister, Margaret Callan Lynch, came from this cottage to the Deverlia eve of the Lynches leaving for America, ultimately Montana. Rose Callan showed up there, Rose Callan O'Rourke, to plea with PHL and Margaret to take her husband Paddy O'Rourke with them on the boat. That he wanted to go to America because they were quite poor here. And they already had all their children, which I think was 6. I wish Winnie were here. Now she's already up there. Winnie owns this property.
Oh.
She inherited it from her late husband, Justin, who died about 2 years ago. Well, anyway, they went down there, pleaded with PHL she did, to take him, and they did. And she stayed back here with the children, and came to America about 20 years later. And is the old cottage, the old stone cottage, an MD in Rhode Island. Very prominent doctor in Rhode Island. There's a medical center named after him in Rhode Island. He delivered me at birth.
Oh.
If that means anything. I mean, I don't know whether that's good news or bad news, but anyway, that happened. And he built that as a vacation place to come back to in the 1930s. I think he came back maybe twice. and it hasn't been occupied since then. So I'm not, maybe Peter Lynch would know. He's of the Iraq. He's not here. He's over there with it.
Her sister to take this husband. They already have their tickets, and they don't have a ticket for him. I've been doing some research on the price of those tickets. They're quite spendy, even though they were going steerage, which was the cheapest class. It appears from the notes that Margaret Daly Mahoney, who would have been a granddaughter of Mary Mahoney, actually a daughter of Mary Mahoney, who was the oldest Lynch daughter, that when they got to the purser said, but you've got one more person than you have tickets. And Patrick Hugh Lynch said, well, Patty here is my oldest daughter's husband, and little Annie is their child. And so Patty pops little Annie onto his shoulder and walks on forward with 14 or 15-year-old Mary, who was our great-grandmother. They went on as a family, and the purser said, go ahead.
Oh.
And later, Margaret Mahoney being one of these very, very precise little Catholic ladies, Grandpa always said it was one lie he told that he'd tell again.
Yeah, and the whole family, Lynch family, went on to, was it Rantoul, Illinois? Illinois, and they had relatives there, and then they went on to Montana there. Patty, I can't quite, don't know quite how he got to New York, to Rhode Island, but that's where he ended up. I was able to track down the ship that carried them over, and they're on the ship manifest, the whole Lynch family. And Patty is not with that listing, but on a couple of pages, I think, before he's there by himself. Patty O'Rourke.
Without a ticket. Do you know the
And a
exact
picture,
date?
and a picture of the ship,
Yeah, do
or a
you know the
drawing.
date? You might know the date.
Yes, it was 1882. 1882.
Oh, okay. Ready? Okay. Oh, okay. That's good. All right, go, Bob. Go. Woo! It's going down the other side.
Didn't quite anticipate that in physical therapy.
Yeah, we don't need to kill ourselves before the.
We have a medical person here anyway.
Yeah. Well, what, a physical therapist or somebody else?
It's too bad Joe, here, give me a hand. Pope.
Jim, this man.
Oh, you okay, Jim?
Get that one.
Yeah, you're better off doing the bottom and then come over, because that jumping is going to hurt the knees.
Yeah, that's what I should have done.
Huh? Okay.
Just about.
Break it again.
Now, an upsy daisy I mentioned there a while ago. Do you know what an upsy daisy is? An upsy daisy was an instrument that was used back in the old Wild West in America for, you know, the stage coaches.
Go and be with her best girlfriend at the time, who was Norma Daly.
Right.
Who was Daly.
She stayed here with her children. Did they all survive? I mean, people were starving.
Yeah.
For what? For work or for
No, for a wedding.
For a wedding. Oh, nice.
I haven't done
How far to get us?
Have to climb over the fence.
So,
Oh, she's up there, right up there.
Last time I was here, there were cows in here, so
Coming past it. He was looking, trying to catch up with Egan's and then the maiden. I don't remember the late mom's name.
Oh,
And he saw somebody, but I don't.
get on your butt.
Yeah, just with him before he split up.
Ooh, is he okay? He went tumbling back.
Okay.
As long as it's
Did you get that one? Did you get that one?
soft,
He's
stay
still
off the
back.
ground.
Okay.
Sit
down.
There you go, now just,
Swing around. Come on, Fred.
I should have done that when I went up.
Honey,
Yeah.
honey, that's one refusal. That's 4 pounds. I'm not as limber as I used to.
Welcome to the club.
Right, you're taking, Fred. I know what you're
You look pretty graceful. You actually look graceful.
Ground soft when you hit it.
Yes.
Well, it is now, right?
I have sunglasses that aren't bifocal. And I was walking along the edge of the city.
You did right church steps. Sunday before we left. Oh, you should say it. I had it all right.
They'll be generally dead up.
He's filming this part for posterity, right?
To the doctor. No problem.
Just work at it, just work at it.
Or Ireland's home funny videos.
I'm jarred.
There you go. Piece of cake. Put your bum down. Easy as easy as.
Good. They're going pretty head, I think, first, aren't they? Good.
Oh, no, you're not getting them.
No, I didn't know that.
They recently uncovered through a record a family history of the Lynches that went back to the
Hello, yeah. So, Betty, nice to meet you. Yes, it's Mary Smith. Yes, nice to meet you.
Lovely,
And
lovely.
the lady in the car, I think you met her husband. Hi, Maureen. Did you meet him?
So, what is that?
outside of their abodes. So
I had said to the fellow that was renting it, I thought oh, if you look out now, the fellow that rents it has a
Yes.
metals, that's part of it.
Hey Philip, they want to take a picture of you.
The two of them are traveling.
This is Daralia.
This area. Okay.
Yeah.
Dara.
Gary.
Okay. And Cool Kill will be Callan. Okay, got it.
Callan and Wiley.
Maureen, do you remember the day your mom kept offering the whiskey?
73,000 pounds.
Wow.
It came out of the big glass.
Went up to Galway and down to
Try to come back here myself. I didn't have it the first time.
Kilkenny.
Yes. Yes.
Now recognize the first name is the surname.
And I live in right near where all friends with us that are from yeah, Butte, Montana. She's just friends.
Yes,
but,
I know,
good friends.
which is lovely.
Yes.
Yes. And then we go on then up the hill to where Margaret Callan and Pat Lynch lived with their children. And the day he was going away, he stayed here to look after his mother because she was old and he had 6 children and a niece that wasn't able to travel when the other brother went to America. So when his mother died and he had organized, he sold the farm, and with the money then he paid his fare to America. And he turned the key in the door and he went off with his 7 children he had and his wife, Margaret. And they went out to Montana, and he told us, well, someone told us that after that, when he arrived there, Marcus Daly had a bag of flour and a side of bacon waiting for the family, and a big fire and a lovely house for them. So from there on, he didn't look back, you know. So my father used to love this because he would have been a cousin, you know. And he'd always talk about it. He called him his Uncle Pat. But I think he was actually a first cousin of his mother, you know. And he used to tell us, but he wasn't well, and a Lynch, who would have been, he was in the American Army and he was stationed in Germany. And he came here, he would have been the first of your crowd to come.
That would have
to
been my dad,
Ireland.
I think.
Here, this is
Your
your daughter.
dad?
Yes, my dad.
Well, no, I don't. Well, it could have been
wait.
World War I think.
Oh,
Oh, you think
It
what?
Was
would
it a long
be,
time ago?
about 30 years ago.
It was in the 70s.
Yes,
Yeah.
70s.
Yeah. 'Cause
That was
I
your
came,
dad,
and I would have been with him.
and you were with him.
I was a little kid.
Oh my
My
goodness,
dad
small
wasn't,
world, huh?
well at the time, sometime just before he died. And you came here, and your dad was inquiring about the Lynches of Derrylea. But the Lynches at that time, they called the uncle and the aunt they called them Tommy Harry. You know, that was, their father was Harry and Tommy Harry and Ellen Harry. So the man he asked, he said, no, there's no Lynches here, only, you know, someone and that. So he came in to my father, this man, after, and he said, I met a Yankee. He said, a man from Montana, and he was looking for the Lynches of Derrylea. And he said, sure, there's no Lynches in Derrylea. And my dad looked at me and said, oh my God, he said, and who was Tommy Harry, you know, his uncle, my dad's uncle. And I never thought of it. And he said, what was his first name?
Patrick.
Patrick Lynch, he said, and he was stationed in Germany. And until he died, my dad regretted not meeting him. He said it was his one wish all his life that he would meet some of his Uncle Pat's family.
Oh.
And he missed out. He died 6 months
And you were
later,
with him?
something.
We were little kids. There
Yeah.
would have been my sister, myself, and I think my brother would have been
Yeah.
a little kid.
Yeah.
And we came back because we were stationed in Europe, and then we came back and
Yes.
we went tromping around
Yes.
probably where we're going to go and looking for
Yeah.
the homestead.
So,
And I remember we met some people that were
Yes.
there, local, must
Yeah,
have been you
but
guys. Of course, you know, as a kid, my memory is only, you know, the plain and the grassy fields.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right,
Then,
probably we should get on
we
with
had a Sullivan here as well that came from New York. Any of his relations?
they were coming. They were going to travel with us.
Yeah,
there
Maureen
one-
and he died.
yes, the father,
Yeah.
Taddy, Chuck was his name. They
Chuck,
called him.
Chuck, yes.
yes, and his son was going to come, but his father was very active as a real estate,
Yeah.
and he's in the, active in the, so he's going to be traveling all over the U.S. with that this year, but he's going to come to the get-together next year, but he had to pass, and he's going to bring his whole family to
Ah, that
Montana
would be
next year.
just lovely. Maureen was from
wonderful people.
London, I think. You know, as well.
Very redhead.
Thank you. Our apple trees in the garden, that was all an orchard. And, you know, Jerry, I was saying, the house here where Marcus Daly was born was a beautiful, like an old style.
Cottage.
Not a cottage, a mansion.
Oh.
You know, it was a beautiful. And there was an orchard all in that garden there when I was a child. And
Jim,
when,
Jim.
Verbal history.
Yes.
And you got Jim to listen to this story.
Maureen,
Yes.
you would know.
Marcus
Start again.
Daly was the copper king in Montana, you heard, but he was born here. Now, at that time, the old house was like a mansion, and it was, you know, a nice house, and it was out there. And that garden there was an orchard, and there were flowers, the whole lot. And then it was sold and was resold, and the last people that bought it knocked the house. We often said they shouldn't have been allowed to knock it. It was, and that. So this was like a shed or something, keeping, different things in it, but it was a beautiful house.
So did Marcus Daly then? He had some money here.
No, Marcus Daly then, he emigrated, and his mother and his sister remained on here. I don't know where the rest of the family went, but anyway, when Marcus got married, he married a Protestant girl, and his mother disowned him. And I understand that he sent money to her, and that she sent it back to him, although she could have done with it at the time. Now, Marcus, I understood, visited Ireland once or twice, and he drove past here, and he didn't even go in. It was very sad, heartbreaking, So that was Marcus Daly now.
Yeah, let me get back to the question Helen raised, and that is, you suggested that they had a substantial house here.
They had a lovely house.
When he was being raised.
When he was a little boy.
Oh, I thought he was dirt poor.
Oh no.
Oh, his family was
they
not.
were very comfortable, Like now,
that's news
this
to
was
me.
the home place then of the Lynches. Now my uncle then lived on there, so his mother was Mary Lynch and Tommy Lynch, and there'd be Pat Lynch's. Now I don't think Pat was their brother. I think he was their first cousin now. As far as I know, that'd be your.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Oh yes, oh
That's
definitely.
we're on them.
Oh God, yes, many all this money.
He'd be son of the Dailies of Yalna Braha. And his grandfather carried his remains in New York. He's buried in New York.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that. You're talking about the Dailies of Gara and Braher. Now they own this farm here next door.
Yeah.
Maureen Gibb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was looking at you saying, I know him. Oh, that's right, you own this
Yeah,
place then.
yeah.
Oh, see, there you are now.
So Andy, this is your brother?
No.
No.
On top of next door.
Up the hill.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember
Sean and Claire, how
as
are
a
you?
child coming down here? Sean and
That's it.
yeah.
When it was said there was a two-story house.
And the apples. Well, I remember like going in there.
This is
as a
fantastic,
child.
isn't it? It's good.
Interesting story she's telling about Marcus Daly, which is totally
Well, comfortable to that.
But he was evicted.
But then the story was that was she married? No, it wasn't a daughter of hers.
No, we just lived on the other boat.
No,
She wasn't married.
No, right.
No, the mother and
Don't you get lots of this?
Right.
She's on the bus. Yeah, she was. So Jerry's.
Man and woman, 6 or 7 children around there. So it's the go and the dog out on that. Tell you what the good old days. Did you went to Montana? Well, I think we went to America for it. The 6 or 7 children. Morning, I don't.
Now, this isn't unusually long. So I don't know what the story is on that. Now, whether this was probably here, so this is probably.
My son was a priest, and one was a medical doctor, and one was a dentist. So you say they did very good in America. Yeah.
But what sustained her for the 9 years that he wasn't here to help her out?
Well, maybe he sent money from America.
Okay. So she had the best system.
No.
Well, in modern times, they were without kerosene lamps. They cooked their primary source. In fact, I don't know, Jerry, is your mother going to be okay if we just stop in and have a peek at his mother? Jerry was. That's been in his writing.
This house was built, you know? Yeah. Okay.
But you think this might be
What's written up
the
there?
original Lynch house?
Yeah, that's Philip coming out now. Yeah, this is the original house. There, yeah.
So this would have been Patrick.
That would have been built maybe 70.
When he got married. What's Anne? Hello.
This is Anne.
How are you?
I'm not too bad, yeah.
Anne.
Hello, everybody. Oh, no, don't you guys. I don't want any photographs.
Now,
Anne has a day off today.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where's Fred?
There you go.
Or just get the book published. Right?
So this is the space, and
Yes, yes. But Mary will be able to tell us.
Mary Ellen will be able to
Oh,
show
that'll
that.
be it.
Yeah.
That'll be a fine house, that. That'll be a fine house.
Yeah, I got my camera.
Okay. Oh, don't touch the fence? Okay. Thank you.
Jim Lynch. He was one.
Mary, now take my camera, honey.
It's redone using the same stones. And,
put in the mortar in.
put in rebuilt. And then the plaque is there as you can see it.
Yeah.
Now, it was interesting from writing to get an impression of what the cottage demise was. I have my grandmother's brother, Jack Callan, was in World War I, and he was over in France, and he wanted to come back to see his boyhood home in Coolkill, and he asked permission for leave from the expeditionary forces, and they denied him, but he came anyway. So he went AWOL, and he wrote a letter about his, two-page letter about his travels here. In the first paragraph, he explains to his brother James, basically saying this is going to be probably embarrassment to the family. If you don't know what AWOL is, ask Joe Ahern, who was a neighbor up in Rhode Island. And but then he went on to describe his meanderings all through his boyhood area here. But obviously, one of the key points to him was coming across this old cottage, and he wrote that the roof had collapsed. You could almost feel him tearing about it. Yeah. Only the walls were left. The beer is gone. And so that was one reflection of it. Then the author of the book, Luke B. Callan, Hope Callan's father, he came in 1932, did basically the same trip, but he wrote a book about it, not a letter. And he also was disheartened when he came here. Everything was on the ground, Just the stones were strewn around. You know, my mother, her brothers and sisters had very little knowledge of history. Their grandparents, Philip and Kitty Gallen, they died before any of the children were born. There was no connection. They did not even know the names. For some reason or other, their parents.
What dear? Yeah.
And all those children identified were born here. That was the entire.